Matthew here is one of our people that when you have trouble, he's going to come bail you out.
Yes. That was an old description I used to use when describing to people who didn't know what consultants did. I was like, I'm a SWAT team member. It's like your company has a problem. I swoop in, fix the problem, swoop out and collect a paycheck on the way out.
Smooth.
And that was just like swoop in, swoop out. You never knew I was there, but everything's now working, yes.
So software ninja.
Software, yeah, something like that, yeah.
Cool. One of the questions I didn't ask you last time when we talked, by the way, this is Percona Live 2023 in Denver. Have the number or the types of calls changed since COVID hit?
The only thing that's really changed, the calls, no, not really. All the performance tuning and all the migrations are all still there. All that stuff's the same. The only stuff that really changed is our training. Since as a senior trainer, there's obviously more requests for the virtual stuff. Disappointing for me because I really like the travel. Yeah. And it's also a whole lot more interactive when you're actually standing in front of a class or standing in front of just an office space with all those people in front of you, and you can see head nods and you can see the quizzical look when you didn't explain something correctly. And when you're doing a virtual training, like people don't have cameras on, you're not expecting them to, and so you can't see all those stuff. So you get a little less interaction, which is unfortunate because I want to make sure that you're getting the value out of the training that we provide so that you can have a better, experience with your database system. So that's the only bummer.
Cool. Have you had an uptick in 5.7 end of life? Please tell me what to do type calls.
I've had several. I wrote a blog post about this because I had so many of my customers that are currently on hold getting to 8 because of issues that 8 is not necessarily bringing, but just gotchas.
Yeah.
And the biggest one is the keywords, the reserved keywords that they added so many more reserved keywords inside 8. And one of which my blog post is about groups, the word groups, GROUPS.
Yeah. And the other one I found that people was rank because suddenly there's
was
the window.
Rank. Yeah. That was interesting. And so there was just like, I had one customer that he just literally had a table called groups, and which made total sense because he was a gem membership type, management.
Yeah.
And they had groups. So it makes total sense to name your table groups, but now he can't just simply migrate. He just can't simply upgrade to 8 because all of his queries, and he has stored procedures. So that table is referenced in all his stored procedures, and he just can't do it.
And going back and back ticking the word groups is not going to be an easy thing to do.
That's like their current solution for that client, for that customer. That is their current solution, but it requires going and redoing all of their store. So it's drop store procedure, recreate store procedure, test it to make sure it works. All that stuff. Said they had like 50 or 60 store procedures they're going to have to go through for this. And go through all of their code and put the back ticks in all through their code. And again, make sure it says, we engaged with a customer starting back in November, and we're still waiting for them to get all their code upgraded because for that particular client, their application is distributed all over. They do security systems. And so they have to change their application. They have to compile the application. They have to deploy the application to over 100,000 locations across the US and make sure every single one of those still works correctly. And then we'll be able to upgrade them to MySQL 8 on Linux. They're currently all 5.7 on Windows, and they're anxious to get to 8 for a little bit more performance out of it. Yeah.
So that's not a thing that start Friday afternoon and work through the weekend.
Friday afternoon. No.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yep.
Let's see. The MySQL world has changed a lot in the past couple of years. And with 5.7 going away, and we're beginning to see hints about 8.1. And 8.0 has been around for 5 years. And
that's so weird to say. that 8 has been around for 5 years.
And figure if 1 dropped tomorrow, we'd still have a year of 8.0. That means it's around 6-7 years, maybe 9 years by the time it's in support. That's a long time for MySQL release or any software release.
Yep.
And the companies that aren't upgrading, the ones that are sticking on 5.5, and I know of a company that's stuck on 5.5 contractually because the contract said you will supply MySQL 5.5 until the end of the contract, which is a couple of years from now. The folks who aren't upgrading, are they really, are they digging a technical debt that they'll have a hard time getting rid of in the future? Because who wants to hire someone out of college who's going to run a 8-year-old database?
8 or older, yeah. There is always the technical debt issue. There is the whole concept of, it ain't broke, don't fix it. 5.7 is working fine for us. Why do we need to mess with upgrading?
Yeah.
And for those particular clients, it's kind of like, well, you are correct, but then it's like that 5.5 guy you were talking about. Like 5.5 will not compile on like Ubuntu 18, and even Ubuntu 18 is old.
Yeah.
And so if you're looking at Ubuntu 2022, there's no way you're going to get MySQL 5.5 to compile it. So even if you wanted to upgrade your operating system to any exploits or any secure vulnerabilities that you wanted the OS protected, you can't do that either. So sticking yourself, digging your heels into older versions of MySQL and staying on them because they work and because you don't need, you're also hindering yourself from all these other vulnerabilities and other attack vectors that may be coming in from your software. Even like say your PHP, you have to upgrade your PHP to if you want to get to MySQL 8 as well, because you have to make sure you're using the native driver because of the new password support and all that kind of stuff. And so that just adds another thing. And if you don't upgrade your PHP, then you're also vulnerable to any PHP attacks. And the same thing with Ruby and the same thing with Java. They're all just like digging your heels in and staying on those old versions just keeps you open.
Yeah, and like older versions of PHP, you don't get composers, so you're getting yourself off from 2/3 of the code out there.
That's right.
MySQL 8 had so many great features that, to me, it was always a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, thank you very much for talking to me.
Yeah.
And we'll see you around the show.
Absolutely.
And thank you very much.
Yep.